Okay, so we've got another speaking test to listen to. This one, part 3 answer. Topic is about shopping. And so they want them to talk about something you bought that you're happy with. So what was the thing you bought? Where did you buy it? What was it for? Or have you used the thing that you buy? And then also why it makes you happy. Okay, so giving a reason for that. Okay, so let's listen and see what this candidate has done.
I recently bought a coffee brewer and the coffee machine has made me very happy. I bought it online from Amazon because I am a member of Amazon Prime. The delivery service is always fast. I ordered it because one of my housemates recommended a coffee machine called Verratti. Apparently it is an Italian coffee machine producer and very popular in Europe. I have been using it for making a cup of coffee every single morning. It is very useful because it is very easy to operate it. It contains 3 compartments. The bottom one is a container for water, and the second compartment is ground coffee bean, and the top one is a space where coffee is made, and there is a nozzle in the middle of the third compartment, so coffee is extracted from the nozzle. All I need to do is bring water and coffee powder and boil it. It makes me very happy every single morning because I can enjoy fresh espresso. It is one of my daily routines, drinking a cup of coffee to wake me up, because brain doesn't work without it. Secondly, the smell of coffee lasts very long compared to another coffee machine what I used before.
Okay, so that was a pretty nice answer. We're just going to go through a couple of points that this candidate could improve on. But overall, listening to that, I'm like a pretty strong, coherent, fluent answer. They talked for a nice amount of time. Their pace was okay. In terms of fluency, I don't really have many comments to make on that. Their pace was very good. There were no really awkward pauses. It didn't sound like they were struggling to think what they wanted to say. So they obviously used their preparation time well to prepare their answer. So fluency, not really a problem. Pronunciation as well. Pronunciation was very clear. There was just 2 words that I sort of stuck out to me as words that were difficult for me to understand, although I had to use the context of the sentence to know what they were meant. So one of them was the name of the coffee machine. So I think she said it was called Verity, the name of the coffee brand, but her pronunciation was a little bit too Verity. Like the V sound wasn't very clear in her answer. So I would recommend to this candidate that she should work on her V sound because it was too soft the way she pronounced it. And so it was a little bit unclear to me. And so I had to think a little bit and listen to it twice to work out what she was actually trying to say. The second word is when she talks about how she prepares her coffee. And she says, all I need to do, add water, add coffee powder. And then she says, and boil it. Okay. Now, her pronunciation of this word was unclear to me. And I wasn't sure what she said, so I had to go back and repeat her answer twice to listen and then use the context of the sentence to understand that she was talking about boiling. So her pronunciation gave it sort of a slightly a P sound at the start of the word. So again, it's this idea of this soft sound. Boil, you need quite a strong, hard, like consonant sound at the start of it. So doing the boil, obviously put your lips together and then you're pushing out your lips. You're pushing the air out. Boil, boil. Okay, it's a short, sharp sound. And so that needs to be much stronger at the start of her word to make it clear that it's a B sound and not this kind of soft boil, which when you do it soft, it could be a P, it could be a B. That's what sort of makes the word difficult to understand. So I would recommend to her that she needs to concentrate and focus on these like strong consonant sounds at the start of the word. And that would be what my recommendation for her. But other than that, I thought her pronunciation was good, understandable and pretty clear. It was just those 2 instances where I wasn't sure what she needed to say. In terms of vocabulary, I thought she used a lot of nice vocabulary that was very specific to the topic of like the coffee machine. I liked how she talked about operating it. I liked how she said that she was a member of Amazon Prime. So nice specific vocabulary again there. I liked how she used clear vocabulary to describe the coffee machine. It has 3 parts, 3 compartments. I thought that was quite nice. There was just a couple of words I thought were kind of too basic for her level and that she should be working on improving the difficulty of her vocabulary. So one of them is that she talked about that it made her very happy. And I know happy is in the question, but I would expect a candidate who seems to speak with as confidence as she does to be able to use more like high level words than happy, sort of like it delighted me. It made me feel delighted. It made me feel so good. Or it made me feel, it gave me joy, gave me excitement, made me feel incredible. Like, so even just using some like intensifiers before the word can help you out. Made me feel so happy, made me feel so incredibly happy, made me feel like amazingly happy or something like that is a good way to do it. You can also use a different kind of phrase like buying this coffee machine. It's been life-changing. It's the best thing I've bought recently. It's changed my life, or it's changed my morning in a really good way, in a really positive way. So you can use phrases like that instead of sort of this idea of sort of sticking with happy. So that would be one thing I would suggest. This is a chance for her to sort of use more high-level vocabulary. The same way where she says delivery for Amazon, delivery is always fast. So using the word fast, we could use something like delivery is always prompt, delivery is always on time, delivery is always speedy. Okay, something like that could be a slightly more high-level word to use than just fast. The other one I thought she had a chance to say was she talks about the coffee machine producer. Okay. Instead of producer, it should really be manufacturer. Okay, so that would be the correct way to say the coffee machine manufacturer. Okay, the person who manufactures the product, not just producing the product. Okay, so that would be the producer. I understand her meaning, but it should actually be manufacturer. And then she talks about how drinking the coffee in the morning has become one of my daily routines. Daily routines is fine. You could sort of change that to rituals. Something a lot of people are saying now as they talk about their morning ritual. So drinking a cup of coffee has become one of my morning rituals would be a slightly more high level way of saying that than just saying has become one of my daily routines. So I would recommend that. In terms of grammar, this was very strong. I thought she was very accurate with her grammar. There was a couple of sort of minor mistakes that I didn't think were really affecting my understanding of what she wanted to say. The only time I called it out was when she talked about using the smell of coffee to wake me up, or drinking the coffee to wake me up. In this one, it should be to wake myself up. Okay, would have been correct in the context of how she was using the sentence. Okay, but overall, fluency good, pronunciation and grammar very good and consistent. It was just, I thought her biggest area to improve on in this one was in terms of her vocabulary and starting to like level up the sort of academic intensity of the words that she's using. So let's look and see what she has for part 3, and let's listen.
Yes, I prefer to go shopping in a big mall because there are lots of different shops at the same place, so I don't need to wander around the streets. Also, there are some restaurants and cafes in big shopping malls. It is perfect to take a rest after shopping and enjoy spending time chatting with my friends. I've never thought about it, but I think some people like to buy expensive items to show off their economic state. For example, as people are earning more money, they're likely to consume expensive cars or watches to show people they can afford these luxurious items.
Okay. So, this is kind of an interesting pair of questions. Do you like shopping in big malls, and why do some people like to buy expensive goods? So two kind of interesting questions. Again, in terms of fluency, I thought this candidate's fluency was very good. I don't really have much to pick her up on there. She keeps the topic moving forward. She doesn't repeat herself a lot, and she finishes the question like in a timely fashion. One thing a lot of candidates do that can sort of undermine your answer is they don't know when to finish the question, or they don't feel confident finishing when they've said everything they want to say. So sometimes you give your 2 or 3 sentence answer and then you think, you wait for the examiner to stop you. So you struggle to come up with other things to say, and you end up going back on yourself or contradicting yourself or repeating the same information a couple of times. And that actually can bring down your fluency score, because it makes you then gives the impression that you're not that fluent, even if you started off really strongly. So I like that this candidate feels confident in ending her answer when she thinks that she said everything she wants to say. In terms of pronunciation, it was fine. It was understandable. There weren't any words that sort of stuck out to me as weirdly pronounced, so I could understand everything. The only thing I would suggest about her answer is that in terms of pronunciation features, her tone can sometimes be quite flat. So one thing they're looking for in terms of your pronunciation is what they call intonation features. So what do I mean by intonation features? I mean things that show your emotion or help convey your feelings using your voice as you're speaking. Okay, so that can be in terms of showing emphasis, in terms of showing excitement, in terms of showing, the change in the pace of the story. So it can be things like, so basic things like when you ask a question, your voice goes higher, doesn't it? I think everyone likes shopping in big malls, don't they? And your voice goes up, like when you add the tag question at the end. So things like that they're looking for. They're looking for you being able to emphasize things. And so you might be telling the story. Do you like shopping in big malls? Yeah, I do. There's a really huge shopping mall very close to where I live. Okay, so could you hear what I did there? I slowed down what I was saying, and I kind of lowered the natural pitch of my voice to try to show emphasis. Okay, so in terms of you can do speed. You can either slow down or you can speed up. But to show like emphasis on something, usually you slow down, and you can either make your pitch of your voice go down, okay, or you can make it go up if you want to show surprise. And then she said, "I've never been to a big shopping mall." Who says that? It's like putting your pitch up as well. Okay. So a lot of candidates can feel kind of embarrassed about doing that, because compared to other languages, English is kind of a bit more like energetic somehow in your pronunciation. But these are things, if you can find some places where you're comfortable showing these skills, then just by showing them, you can get the points for them. So make sure when you're listing things, you give a list of 3 and you show some kind of emphasis or speed on them. Why do some people like to buy expensive goods? It's all about the image. Okay, so I'm emphasizing it by lowering my voice and by slowing down. Okay, so if you can find opportunities to do that's going to help. Overall, this candidate's pronunciation was good, but sometimes kind of flat. Okay, and so I wanted to see more of these kind of features in her answer. In terms of vocabulary, she used some nice vocabulary. She talked about chatting with her friends, which is a nice sort of way of putting it, very natural. She talked about luxurious goods, which was a nice paraphrase of expensive goods. So I liked her use of the word luxurious. She used the phrase wander around. So she doesn't like to wander around shopping, so malls are better. So wandering around is like quite a natural native speaker phrase. So I like that a lot. The only issue I had with her vocabulary is when she talked about people like to buy expensive items to show off their economic state. Okay, and that's not really a natural way to say that. We don't talk about people showing off their economic state. You can say for people showing off their status. Okay, status means prestige, to show off their wealth. To show off their wealth, to display their power, to show, if you want to be very sort of academic, to show off their socio-economic status, but that's something that you would probably read in an academic paper. You wouldn't actually really say that. So usually you would say, you buy luxurious cars to show off your status or your wealth. That would be a more natural way to say that. And in the same way, she also refers to these people consuming luxury goods like expensive cars. So she said people consume expensive cars. They don't really go together. You can't really consume a car, but you can consume luxurious goods. So people consume goods. People consume luxury goods, such as expensive cars. But we don't say you consume a car, because that creates the visual image of you eating a car, which is weird. But we do use the word consume that links to goods. So that would be okay. So yeah, I thought overall quite a strong answer in terms of grammar. I didn't really have anything that sounded too strange when I was listening to it. But the only thing that could come up with this, grammar is I would like to see her sort of be a bit more adventurous with her grammar in terms of using conditionals or if sentences or slightly different tenses. She sort of tends to stay quite comfortably into the past simple or simple present tense, and she doesn't show me, I think, enough variety of tenses. So she's got the most challenging part of the grammar down, which is having consistently correct grammar, which is good. But I'd like this candidate to show me more variety. So let's go on to the scoring. So overall pronunciation, I thought her pronunciation was really quite good. Just those 2 instances in the first sentence. So clear, nice pronunciation. Her only issue was with the intonation. So I think that would sort of keep her down at a 6, and we want more intonation features to improve score. In terms of vocabulary and lexical resources, I thought in her first answer, she, needed to use a bit more high-level vocabulary, like we talked about. And she used a couple of odd phrases in her second answer. So I would say for vocabulary was sort of like a 5.5. Grammar, range, and accuracy, I thought probably we're at a 6 because it was very accurate. There are very few things that I could pick out that sounded wrong or incorrect to me. Generally really quite consistent. So we're at that sort of 6-band level. In terms of fluency and coherence, I thought that was great, up at a 6.5 for sure. So overall, I would say this candidate's coming out at a strong 6, with a lot of potential to move up to a 6.5 or 7. If she just used a couple of different adjectives, I think, in her first answer. If she hadn't said economic state in her second answer, I think her vocabulary could easily have bumped up too. And she just needs to work on a few of those pronunciation features to move up to a 6.5. But overall, very strong answer. Lots of positives. And I think this candidate could easily improve up to a 6.5 or a 7.